What if the one you trusted most harbored the darkest secrets? What happens when the man of God sleeps with teenager, daily turning to pleasure? In Tell City, Indiana, Lily Masterson thought she had found a haven in Pastor Errol Wright's home. But what happens when sanctuary becomes a trap? How could a community's beacon of faith stand accused of such sinister deeds? Can you trust a Savior who prays in the shadows? What unfolds when a guardian angel becomes the harbinger of night? When Lily dares to speak out, will her voice echo or be stifled by the very walls meant to protect her? As secrets spill and facades crumble, will the truth offer liberation or deepen the scars? Can justice ever truly cleanse the stained glass of duplicity? Dive into a story where every chapter cuts deeper into a world where trust is the currency and betrayal is the tax. Are you ready to question everything? Before we delve deeper into this web of intrigue, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want us to keep bringing you stories you won't find on Google. And now, let's crack this case wide open. Lily Masterson, a 15-year-old foster child, was welcomed into the Wright family with open arms. Pastor Errol Wright, a figure of community respect and religious piety, presented himself as a guardian angel. But what happens when the angel's halo begins to falter? The Wright home, with its warm lights and the scent of freshly baked cookies, initially seemed like a dream come true for Lily, who had moved from one foster home to another throughout her young life. "This is your new home, Lily. We're your family now," Mrs. Wright had said with a comforting smile as she showed Lily her new room, filled with books and a window overlooking the garden. As weeks turned into months, the family dinners and church Sundays began to reveal another side of Pastor Wright. The caring facade subtly shifted as his guidance became more invasive. "Lily, remember, trust is the foundation of our relationship," Pastor Wright would often remind her, his voice gentle yet firm. But his lessons after dinner, intended to be spiritual guidance, slowly took a turn towards uncomfortable territory. One evening, as the sunset painted the living room in hues of orange and gold, Pastor Wright sat next to Lily on the couch. "You know, Lily, you can tell me anything. Think of me as your protector," he said, placing his hand a little too close to hers. The air felt heavier, charged with an unspoken tension. "Why don't we start with your prayers tonight, right here?" he suggested, his tone insistent. Lily nodded uneasily, sensing that refusing might disappoint him. As they prayed, his hand drifted to her shoulder, lingering there, making her heart race with apprehension. She tried to focus on the words of the prayer, but the sense of danger was palpable. As the weeks progressed, the private prayer sessions became more frequent, and Lily's discomfort grew. She found herself dreading the evenings, her previous sanctuary now a gilded cage. Conversations with Pastor Wright no longer felt safe or holy. Instead, they were veiled tests of her boundaries, which she was too frightened to fail. "What's troubling you, Lily? You seem distant these days," Pastor Wright inquired one night, his voice coated with concern that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I'm just tired, I guess," Lily replied, avoiding his gaze. "School and everything." "Lily, remember what Proverbs says about trust. Lean not on your own understanding," he admonished softly, quoting scripture to remind her of her duty to confide in him. "You can lean on me." Her isolation within the home grew as the pastor's wife seemed increasingly distant, absorbed in her own duties and seldom questioning her husband's methods. The community's reverence for Pastor Wright as a spiritual leader made Lily feel even more trapped. Who would believe her word against his? As another evening approached, Lily knew it was only a matter of time before Pastor Wright would call her to the living room for their special session. With each step down the staircase, her sense of dread grew. What would be the boundary tonight, and could she bear to cross it? The living room was dimly lit, the curtains drawn. Pastor Wright sat waiting, a Bible open on his lap. "Lily, come here," he beckoned, patting the couch beside him. "Tonight, we'll explore a new chapter." As she sat down, the distance between them minimal, Lily's mind raced. This was not the spiritual guidance she sought. It was a manipulation masked as mentorship. But as she looked into Pastor Wright's calm, expectant face, a chilling question hung in the air, unasked but heavily implied. How much longer could she wear the mask of compliance? And what would happen if it slipped? As weeks turned into months, Lily's initial relief at finding a new home transformed into a creeping dread. What began as paternal affection slowly morphed into invasive encounters. Why did the nightly prayers feel like a pretext for something darker? Lily began to notice subtle changes in Pastor Wright's demeanor. His once casual touches during their prayer sessions became lingering and purposeful. His eyes a little too keen as they appraised her. "God guides us to comfort those in need," he would whisper. His breath warm against her ear during their evening prayers. The sanctity of these moments, once her refuge, now twisted into a confusing maze of discomfort and fear. As autumn leaves turned to winter frost, the warmth of the house chilled with a shift in their interactions. The couch, where they sat during their Bible studies, felt less like a place of worship and more like a silent witness to Lily's growing unease. "Tonight, let's focus on the strength of trust, Lily," Pastor Wright suggested one evening, flipping through his Bible to a passage he claimed mirrored her own journey. His finger brushed hers as he handed her the book, the touch deliberate, lingering. The transformation was gradual. Each of Pastor Wright's actions became a carefully placed stone in a barrier that isolated Lily. She found herself second-guessing his intentions, her instincts screaming that there was something profoundly wrong with how he was guiding her spiritually. "It's all in your head," she would tell herself, trying to bat away the doubts as mere shadows cast by her troubled past. But the shadows only grew longer with each passing day. One cold December evening, as snowflakes danced mockingly against the window panes, Pastor Wright's usual warm demeanor cooled into something more calculating. "Lily, you seem distracted during our sessions. It's essential for your spiritual growth that you open up fully," he pressed, his gaze intense, pinning her in place. "How can I help you if you don't let me in?" he continued, his voice soft yet edged with an unspoken threat. The room felt smaller, the walls inching closer as he waited for her response. Lily's throat tightened, the words catching like cotton. "I'm trying to understand, Pastor," she managed to say, her voice a mere whisper. The tension broke momentarily as he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Let's pray on it," he decided, and she had no choice but to nod in agreement, her heart pounding a desperate rhythm against her rib cage as his hand found hers once more, gripping it with a pressure that was meant to reassure, but instead warned of the tightening web around her. Every prayer session, every Bible verse read together became a test, Lily battling between her respect for the man who had taken her in and her growing instinct to flee. With each passing day, the line blurred between spiritual guidance and manipulation, her trust bending under the weight of his words and touches. "Why do I feel so trapped?" Lily wondered as she lay awake one night, the shadows in her room morphing into monsters of doubt and fear. Outside, the wind howled, a freedom cry she felt barred from making. With each gust against the window, a question hammered in her mind. What would happen if she exposed the truth? Would the community believe the word of a troubled teen over the respected Pastor Wright? And as the clock ticked towards another dreaded evening session, Lily faced a cliffhanger in her own life, confront Pastor Wright and risk everything, or continue to endure in silence, hoping for a way out. Each choice loomed like a precipice, and Lily stood teetering, caught between the dark and the unknown. The truth was harder to conceal as the signs became more evident. Why did Lily, once a bright and engaging student, become withdrawn and anxious? What secrets were hidden behind the closed doors of the Wright household? Lily's transformation did not go unnoticed at school. Her once sparkling grades began to slip, and her participation in class dwindled to silence. Her friends whispered about the change, but Lily brushed off their concerns with vague smiles and tired eyes. "I'm just really busy with church activities," she would say, but the hollow tone of her voice raised more questions than answers. Her teachers, too, saw the shift. Ms. Harper, her favorite English teacher, noted the change with a worried frown. "Lily used to be so vibrant, so eager to contribute," she confided to another teacher in the staff room. "Now, it's like she's fading away in front of us." The concern was palpable, a shared unease that something deeply troubling was unfolding in Lily's life. As winter deepened, the situation at home grew more dire. Pastor Wright's control over Lily tightened, each day a chess game that she was losing. One icy Thursday evening, the pastor suggested a new healing ritual that he insisted would cleanse her of her anxieties. "Trust in the Lord and in me as his servant," he urged, his voice smooth as silk, dangerous and sweet. Lily, trapped by his authority and her own fear, complied without understanding fully what it entailed. That night, under the guise of spiritual healing, Pastor Wright crossed boundaries that left Lily shattered. The sanctity of the church, once her refuge, became a place of profound violation. Alone and scared, she returned home that night, a part of her broken irrevocably. In the days that followed, the secret Lily carried grew heavier. The burden of what had occurred in the shadows of the church haunted her, a specter she could neither escape nor ignore. At school, her silence screamed volumes, and Ms. Harper finally stepped in. "Lily, I've noticed you've been quite down lately. If there's anything you ever want to talk about, I'm here," she offered gently one afternoon after class. "My son did, because he was too ashamed to speak about it." Lily's resolve wavered. The kindness in Ms. Harper's eyes, so unlike the cold manipulation of Pastor Wright, opened a floodgate she hadn't realized she'd been holding closed. With trembling lips and eyes brimming with tears, Lily whispered, "Can I really trust you?" The weight of her secret poised on the edge of revelation. Ms. Harper nodded, her expression firm and compassionate. "Yes, Lily, you can trust me," she assured. In the quiet of the classroom, with the sun setting outside, casting long shadows across the floor, Lily began to speak. The words tumbled out, hesitant at first, then pouring like a dam broken. The truth of what had been happening behind the closed doors of the Wright household, under the guise of spiritual guidance, spilled into the open. As Lily recounted the events, Ms. Harper listened, horror and anger mounting with each word. The story was worse than she feared. It was not just a matter of a young girl struggling with adjustment or academic pressure. It was abuse, cloaked in the vestments of faith. The chapter closes as Miss Harper makes a decision that would set the stage for the confrontation of evil hiding behind a clerical collar. "We need to get you help, Lily, and we need to stop him," she declared, reaching for her phone. The call she was about to make would bring the hidden darkness into the light, but neither of them could predict the fallout that would follow. What would happen when the world learned the truth about Pastor Errol Wright? The community's reckoning was about to begin. It started with whispers among concerned teachers and peers, subtle but loaded with suspicion. But what does it take for suspicion to turn into action? How did a small-town school respond to the unsettling rumors about their beloved pastor? As the whispers grew louder and more frequent, the staff at Tell City High School began to take notice. Teachers observed Lily's withdrawal and shared their concerns in hushed tones during breaks. "Something isn't right," Ms. Harper said during one of the staff meetings, her voice heavy with worry. "We've all seen the change in Lily, but it's more than just teenage angst," the school counselor, Mr. Jennings, agreed. "We have a duty to act, not just speculate," he asserted. Encouraged by his resolve, the group decided to monitor Lily's interactions more closely and look for any signs that could confirm their fears. The turning point came one cold February morning when Lily arrived at school with visible bruises on her arms. She tried to cover them with her sleeves, but Miss Harper noticed them during English class. After the bell rang, she gently pulled Lily aside. "Those bruises, Lily, they look painful. How did you get them?" she asked, her tone soft but insistent. Lily's eyes filled with tears, her usual defenses crumbling under the weight of genuine concern. I fell," she stammered, a standard excuse that both knew was far from the truth. Miss Harper took a deep breath, her decision clear. "Lily, I'm here for you, and I believe you deserve help. It's important and it's urgent. I need to involve Mr. Jennings, our counselor. We can help you together." With Lily's hesitant nod, Miss Harper led her to Mr. Jennings' office, where they shared their suspicions and the evidence of physical harm. Mr. Jennings listened intently, his expression turning grave. "We need to take this to the authorities," he declared firmly. "It's our responsibility to ensure the safety of our students, and this goes beyond our capability." Together they contacted Child Protective Services and filed a report detailing their concerns and the physical signs of abuse. The wheels of justice began to turn, as the local police were notified and began their investigation into the matter, starting with discreet inquiries within the community and a visit to the school to speak with Lily in a protected environment. Word of the police involvement spread through the school and eventually leaked into the community. The rumor mill churned with varying degrees of disbelief and dismay. "Pastor Wright? It can't be true," some said. Others whispered, "I always knew there was something off about him." As the investigation gained momentum, the community found itself at a crossroads, grappling with the duality of the man they thought they knew and the emerging portrait of someone far darker. Church members were torn, with some rallying to support Pastor Wright, while others began to recount troubling interactions that corroborated the growing concerns. Meanwhile, at the Wright household, the atmosphere tensed as Pastor Wright caught wind of the investigation. "They're questioning my integrity, my ministry," he raged at his wife. "We must stand firm against these lies." But as the storm gathered force, Lily found herself at the center, her secret now a public spectacle. Each whisper, each sideways glance at school and on the street, felt like an accusation or a question of her truth. The chapter closes on a community on the brink, a storm ready to break. What truths will the coming investigations unveil? How will Tell City navigate the turbulent waters of a scandal involving one of their own? And for Lily, the question remained, will the storm wash away the debris of her shattered sanctuary, or will it drown her voice once again? The answers lay just ahead, as the tempest promised to reveal more than anyone in Tell City could have anticipated. With the weight of her world bearing down on her, Lily found the courage to speak out. But what drove her to finally break her silence? What happens when a victim speaks truth to power? The transformation began quietly, within the confines of Ms. Harper's classroom, where Lily first whispered the truth. As the initial waves of fear subsided, replaced by a tentative relief, Lily's resolve strengthened. Encouraged by Ms. Harper's unwavering support and the immediate action of the school counselor, Lily began to see a glimmer of hope. The prospect of speaking out transformed from a daunting ordeal into a necessary step towards reclaiming her life. Ms. Harper arranged for Lily to meet with a local advocate for abuse survivors, a woman named Ms. Anderson, who specialized in helping young victims navigate their way through the complexities of the legal system and the emotional turmoil of their experiences. When you speak your truth, you take the first step towards healing, Ms. Anderson explained during their first meeting in a quiet corner of a local cafe, away from prying eyes. In story, the more amicable the legal family is, the further they will separate. Lily's decision to break the silence was catalyzed by the realization that her story could help protect others from suffering a similar fate. If speaking up can save even one person from going through what I did, then it's worth it, Lily confessed to Ms. Anderson, her voice steady, reflecting a newfound strength that surprised even her. The day Lily decided to make her statement to the police was a crisp, clear morning, symbolizing a new beginning. Accompanied by Ms. Harper and Ms. Anderson, she walked into the police station, her every step an act of defiance against the fear that had once threatened to overwhelm her. As she recounted her experiences, the officers listened intently, their expressions a mix of professionalism and hidden outrage. The repercussions of her revelations were immediate and far-reaching. The community was forced to confront uncomfortable questions about trust, authority, and the masks that people wear. Pastor Wright was called in for questioning, his usual confident demeanor faltering under the weight of the allegations against him. The news of Lily's bravery spread through Tell City, igniting conversations in homes, schools, and places of worship. Some community members rallied to her side, offering support and admiration for her courage, while others harbored doubts, their loyalty to Pastor Wright clouding their judgment. As the investigation progressed, more evidence came to light. Other young members of the congregation began to come forward with their own stories, inspired by Lily's courage. The whispers turned into a chorus of voices calling for justice and transparency. The chapter closes on a note of cautious optimism. Lily, once isolated by her secret, now found strength and solidarity with others who had faced similar shadows. As she prepared to face Pastor Wright in court, she was no longer just a victim of his actions, but a key witness in the case against him, and a symbol of courage for the entire community. The storm that Lily had feared would destroy her had instead cleared the path for a brighter future, not just for her, but for all of Tell City. As the trial date approached, all eyes were on the courthouse, a building that now represented a beacon of hope for justice and change. What will the trial reveal? How will the community continue to transform in its wake? These questions loom large, promising profound changes in the chapters to come. As the allegations surfaced, the facade of the perfect community was shattered. How did Tell City react to discovering the monstrous truth about a man they revered? What does it take for a community to heal from collective betrayal? The revelation of Pastor Wright's actions sent shockwaves through Tell City. The man who had stood at the pulpit, who had officiated weddings, funerals, and baptisms, who had been a pillar of strength in times of need, was now the subject of dark whispers and outright condemnation. The community grappled with a profound sense of betrayal. The question on everyone's lips was not only, how could he, but also, how did we not see? Churchgoers and townspeople alike faced a crisis of faith, not just in their pastor, but in their own judgment. The church board convened an emergency meeting to address the congregation's concerns and outline steps to ensure such a breach of trust would never happen again. Transparency, they promised, would be the new foundation upon which they would rebuild the church's integrity. Internally, the frequently divided pairs entered into a marital an official peace meeting. Community meetings were organized by concerned citizens. Some were heated, with voices raised in anger and frustration. Others were somber, marked by tears and whispered prayers. Throughout these gatherings, a recurring theme emerged: the need for healing and forgiveness, not just for themselves, but potentially for Pastor Wright. This notion was met with mixed reactions. One said, "Ooh, say for you." Some argued that forgiveness was necessary for moving forward, while others felt betrayed by even the suggestion of absolving him of his grievous misdeeds. In the midst of this turmoil, local therapists and counselors, including Ms. Anderson, held workshops and offered free sessions to help those affected cope with the emotional fallout. Healing is a process, not a destination, Ms. Anderson would often remind her clients. It involves acknowledging the pain, understanding the impact of the betrayal, and slowly rebuilding trust within ourselves and within our community. Schools played their part too. Programs were introduced to teach students about safety and trust, equipping them with the knowledge and skills to recognize and report inappropriate behavior. Lily, once a victim, became a symbol of resilience and a spokesperson for these initiatives, sharing her story to empower her peers. As the trial date approached, the community braced itself for the full exposure of Pastor Wright's deeds. The local newspaper covered every development, from the pre-trial hearings to community reactions. The coverage was careful, yet relentless, its tone reflecting a community's need for truth and closure. The chapter closes on the eve of the trial, with Tell City holding its collective breath. Lights glimmered in homes throughout the town, not just as beacons against the dark of night, but as symbols of hope. A community united in its determination to reclaim its moral compass and move forward from a scandal that had threatened to define them. The trial promised to be a cathartic climax to the saga of Pastor Wright. Would Tell City find the closure it sought? Could a community heal from such a profound betrayal? These questions loomed large as the gavel awaited its first call to order, signaling the beginning of a new chapter in the life of the town and its people. The aftermath of the trial was just the beginning for Lily. How does one reclaim their life after it has been shattered by someone they trusted? What does healing look like when you've survived the unimaginable? The courtroom had been packed on the day the verdict was delivered. The air was tense with the collective breaths of a community awaiting justice. Pastor Wright was found guilty on multiple counts, and the gavel's final fall echoed a resounding signal of closure for many. But for Lily, it marked the start of a new, deeply personal journey. A journey towards healing and reclaiming her life. In the weeks that followed, the town of Tell City worked to find its new normal. But for Lily, normal was a concept as foreign as trust. She began attending therapy sessions more frequently, where she worked with Ms. Anderson to unpack the layers of trauma. Healing isn't linear, Ms. Anderson reminded her. And true to those words, Lily's days were a mixture of small victories and significant setbacks. One of the therapeutic approaches they explored was art therapy. Lily found solace in painting, her canvases becoming the silent witnesses to her inner turmoil and resilience. Each stroke was a testament to her battles, the colors blending her pain with her hopes. "When I paint, I feel like I'm in control again," Lily confessed during one of her sessions. It was in these moments of creation that Lily felt her spirit mend the most. Education became another cornerstone of her recovery. Encouraged by Ms. Harper and supported by scholarships from local women's organizations, Lily decided to pursue a degree in psychology. Her goal was clear: to help others who had endured similar traumas. "I want to be the person I needed when I was at my lowest," she stated during a scholarship interview, her determination shining through the remnants of her past. Community involvement played a crucial role in her healing process as well. Lily began speaking at local events about her experiences, advocating for greater awareness and better protective measures for children in foster care. Her story, once a source of personal shame, became a powerful tool for change, inspiring others to speak out and seek help. However, the road to redemption was not without its challenges. There were days when the memories overwhelmed her, when the whispers of doubt crept in, muddying her hard-won progress. On those days, the community around her, her teachers, her therapists, her friends, proved invaluable, offering a net of support that caught her when she fell. As the chapter closes, we see Lily at a local conference on child safety, a panelist among other experts. She speaks eloquently, her voice steady and sure, her narrative not just her own, but a chorus of those who had once been voiceless. The audience listens, moved and motivated, a testament to the impact of her courage and her commitment to forging paths of healing for herself and for others. Lily's journey continues, each step forward a defiance of the past, each day a reclamation of her power and a celebration of survival. The road to redemption is long and winding, but for Lily, each turn brings her closer to a future she once thought unreachable. Her story is a beacon of hope for all who have faced the darkness and dared to reach for the light. In the quiet of the courtroom, a verdict was reached. But is justice in the court the same as justice for the victim? How does a community move forward, and what changes are made to prevent another Lily? The courtroom's hushed silence was palpable as the judge delivered the verdict against Pastor Errol Wright. Guilty on all counts. The gavel's final echo marked the end of the trial, but it was only the beginning of a broader conversation within Tell City about justice and healing. For Lily, the verdict brought a complex mix of relief and introspection. Legal justice had been served. Her abuser would face the consequences of his actions, but the emotional scars remained. "It's a step forward," Lily acknowledged in a quiet moment after the trial. But it doesn't undo what happened. The community grappled with similar complexities. The trial had laid bare uncomfortable truths about whom they trusted and how easily that trust could be exploited. Moving forward meant confronting these realities head-on. The church took the lead, implementing rigorous background checks for all staff and volunteers, regular training sessions on child safety, and clear, accessible channels for reporting suspicious behavior. Town hall meetings became a regular occurrence, spaces where residents could voice their concerns and work together on community web initiatives focused on safety and transparency. Discussions often revolved around the balance between forgiveness and accountability, healing and justice. These forums helped to mend the community fabric, each conversation a stitch in the recovery from collective betrayal. Education systems within Tell City were also overhauled. Schools introduced comprehensive programs designed to teach children about personal boundaries and consent, ensuring that students could recognize and report abuse. Teachers and staff received training on how to spot signs of abuse and how to support affected students effectively. For Lily, justice also meant using her experience to advocate for change beyond Tell City. She partnered with child protection organizations, sharing her story with lawmakers and pushing for statewide reforms in foster care and child safety protocols. Her testimony soon became a powerful catalyst for change, influencing legislation aimed at better protecting foster children across the state. As the chapter closes, the camera pulls back to reveal a community forever changed but resilient, a tapestry woven with threads of pain and courage. A mural in the town square, painted by local artists, including Lily, depicts a tree with roots running deep, its branches stretching out wide. Each leaf bears a name, a tribute to those who have suffered abuse and a reminder of the community's commitment to vigilance and care. The question of whether justice was truly served lingers, as it often does in the aftermath of such trials. But for Lily and Tell City, the verdict is just one part of a larger journey towards healing and prevention. Their story is a testament to the power of voice, the strength of community, and the enduring pursuit of a safer future for all children. Years later, Lily stands by the Ohio River, her thoughts flowing like the water before her. How has her story changed her and those around her? What wisdom does she share with others who might walk in her footsteps? The river's gentle currents mirror the calmness that has finally settled in Lily's life. As she watches the water glide by, she reflects on the tumultuous journey that brought her here. Healing is not just about overcoming a moment of trauma, she muses. It's about embracing each day as a new beginning. Lily has become a beacon of hope and a pillar of strength in her community. She regularly speaks at schools and seminars, sharing her story to educate others on the signs of abuse and the importance of speaking out. Her message is clear. Silence often hides the deepest pain. Speaking up can be terrifying, but it's the first step toward reclaiming your life. Her advocacy work has spurred changes not only in Tell City, but across the state. Thanks to her efforts, foster care systems are more vigilant and protective laws are more robust. Change doesn't come overnight, and it often requires more of us than we think we can give, she tells a crowd at a recent conference. Her voice steady and inspiring, but every step toward change helps to mend not just your own heart, but the heart of your community. Her personal life has flourished as well. Lily has found love, a partner who respects and supports her, who understands the shadows of her past but sees the brightness of her future. Together, they are planning to start a family, something Lily once thought might never be possible for her. As she stands by the river, Lily thinks about those who are still in the shadows, those who haven't yet found their voice. My journey started with a whisper that turned into a storm, she recalls. If my story can inspire one person to step into the light, to speak their truth, then every challenge I've faced has been worth it. Lily takes a deep breath of the fresh river air, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Her story, of one of pain, courage, and transformation, is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. With the support of a community that learned to listen and a personal will that refused to break, Lily has not just survived, she has thrived. Her final thoughts are a message of hope. Where there is darkness, there can be light. Where there is pain, there can be healing. And where there is silence, may we all learn to speak. Can justice ever truly erase the scars left by betrayal? How does a community rebuild trust after it's been shattered by someone they revered? What is the real cost of silence in cases of abuse? Lily's story began with whispers that turned into a storm. What does this say about the power of a single voice in breaking cycles of abuse? How do we balance forgiveness and accountability in cases like Lily's? Is it possible to forgive without undermining the severity of the perpetrator's actions? What role should schools and communities play in safeguarding against abuse? Lily's teachers played a crucial role in her journey. How can others emulate this supportive network to protect vulnerable individuals? How does sharing one's story of trauma and recovery impact a survivor's healing process? Lily found strength in advocacy and public speaking. Do you think this approach can help others heal, or might it re-traumatize them? Is legislative change enough to protect children in foster care, or do we need deeper cultural shifts? Considering the reforms inspired by Lily's advocacy, what more needs to be done to ensure such tragedies are prevented? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Next time, we'll uncover another case where betrayal, secrets, and unimaginable decisions changed lives forever.